Welcome to Evan's Quick Picks for UFC 277. Let's get right into the first fight. Up first, we have a welterweight matchup of Orion Cosce versus Blood Diamond Mike Mathetha. I am going to go with Orion Cosce here. I want Blood Diamond to win. He's a friend of Israel Adesanya, who's one of my favorite fighters. But I think this is just a bad matchup for Diamond. Cosce is a lot like Jeremiah Wells. I don't think he's on the same level as Wells, but he has the same style, and I think that we could see a very similar fight to what we saw. But I actually don't think that Cosce is going to be able to submit Diamond, but I do think he probably drags him down and keeps him down there for the extent of the fight and picks up a decision win. Moving on to the light heavyweight division, we've got Negumereanu versus ihor Potieria. I'm going to go with the newcomer ihor Potieria in this fight. What I've seen with him, he has huge power in his hands. And I just don't think Negumereanu is going to have the speed to keep up with Potieria on the feet. I will say that Negumereanu does have a incredible chin. He hasn't been knocked out. He only has one loss in professional MMA. But I just think that Potieria might end up being really good in this light heavyweight division, and I think he makes a mark here with his knockout victory over Negumereanu. Now we have our first women's fight of the evening in Yeon Kim versus Joselyne Edwards. Yeon Kim comes into this fight on a 3-fight losing streak, but she really shouldn't be. She was robbed, I think, of her last fight, and I think she should have gotten the win there. And I think what really led me to pick Kim as the underdog pick here is the fact that Edwards is cutting 20 pounds since her last fight, which was only 6 weeks ago. That's scary for anyone, especially when you're starting at 145. It's not like she was a male heavyweight cutting to a light heavyweight. She started at 145 and is cutting down to 125, and that's a lot of weight to cut in 6 weeks in a division you're not used to. I think Kim will probably just be too fast for her and get the decision win. Next is Michael Morales, who is undefeated, going up against Adam Fugitt. He is the biggest favorite on the card, and I think deservedly so. If I had to pick one fight that is an absolute lock, I'm going to go with Michael Morales here. Fugitt has never fought in the UFC, and Morales has looked great so far in his career. I think he'll be able to stand up, use his jabs and his leg kicks to feel it out in the fight. And then I'm going to go probably second or third round. Once he has that, feels out Fugitt, Morales finds that opening, lands that big shot, and ends this fight by TKO or knockout. Next is a fight that I am very excited for. We've got Drakkar Klose versus Rafa Garcia. This one I'm not really sure about why the odds are so in favor of Klose. I do have him winning, but I see this sitting right now at a minus 225 for Drakkar Klose, which I think is a bit much. I think this fight is closer to like a minus 150, but I'm going to go with Drakkar Klose. I think that he's a bit better overall than Garcia. Garcia is the better wrestler and grappler, but I think Klose will be able to use his striking, and he has good enough takedown defense, I think, to stop Garcia's takedowns, which will allow him to keep the fight standing, and that is where he's better. And I think Klose will take home a decision win over Rafa Garcia. Next, in the heavyweight division, Don'Tale Mayes coming off a 2-fight win streak over the newcomer Hamdy Abdelwahab. I'm going to go with Don'Tale Mayes. And I actually am pretty confident in this one. Don'Tale Mayes has a 8-inch reach advantage over Hamdy Abdelwahab, which is just insane. And for a guy who already is the better striker, having that 8-inch reach advantage really allows him to work his game plan, keeping him, if he's smart, he'll keep him on the outside, because we know that Abdelwahab is going to want to go for his wrestling. And if Mayes keeps him on the outside, he won't be able to get in, especially with that 8-inch reach advantage. And I think Mayes, even if Abdelwahab is able to find some success with the wrestling. Mays is a good wrestler in his own aspect. We saw him win his last fight on the ground via crucifix strikes. And I think that Mays should be able to keep this, like I said, should keep this fight standing and eventually catch Abdelwahab with a big shot and win by knockout, since I just don't think he has the experience yet to be going against Mays. Next is Drew Dober versus Rafael Alves in our second to last prelim fight. I'm seeing a Drew Dober win here over Rafael Alves. If you look at who Dober's lost to, they're very tough competition, and I just don't think Alves is on that level. I think Dober has the striking advantage over Alves. Alves is a good grappler, but I don't think he's good. He's obviously not on the same level as Islam Makhachev, who Dober lost to, and I just don't think that he's going to be able to implement that grappling game against Dober as much as he would like to, and I think Dober can use his striking advantage to outpoint Alves. And I think Alves may find success with his wrestling, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to keep Dober from executing his game plan and coming home with a decision win. Next up, one of the most, I think one of the closest fights on this card is Alex Morono versus Matt Semelsberger. I'm going to take the slight underdog here in Alex Morono. Alex Morono's looked really good in his last 3 fights, and I just don't think Semelsberger is going to be able to knock him out. And I think because of that, and I think Semelsberger is really, he comes in, I think he bets mostly on his power to win by knockout. I just don't see Morono going out. And because of that, I think Morono will keep this fight standing. I mean, I don't think either of these guys are going to want to take the fight to the ground. They don't have great wrestling. But I think the longer this fight goes, the more it favors Morono. And I just don't see Semelsberger being able to knock out Morono early in this fight. So I think Morono will outstrike him and get a decision win. In the first fight on the main card, we've got Magomed Ankalaev versus Anthony Lionheart Smith. This one should be a lot closer than the odds say. Magomed Ankalaev enters this as a minus 500. That is insane, I think. I mean, that is disrespectful to Anthony Smith, who is on a 3-fight win streak. As this is probably a fight to fight Jan Blachowicz for a shot at the light heavyweight title if Glover Teixeira is going to fight Jiří Procházka again. So I'm not really sure where the minus 500 comes in here. I mean, obviously Ankalaev has looked great. He was submitted by Paul Craig, and as we know, Anthony Smith is a good grappler and poses a submission threat to Magomed Ankalaev, and I actually think they're pretty even when it comes to striking. So if this fight stays on the feet, I actually might give the advantage to Smith as he's the longer guy, might be able to keep it on the outside. But I think that I am going to go with Ankalaev because I do think that his dominant wrestling is really going to be what gets it done here. I think he'll be able to close the distance, get him down, be able to throw some good bombs on him while he's on the ground. I don't think he's going to put the fight away, but I do think that he will be able to do enough to win a decision over Anthony Smith. Wouldn't be surprised if Smith won a round, and I actually wouldn't be shocked if Anthony Smith was able to win this fight, as I am a big Anthony Smith fan myself. But I'm going to go with Magomed Ankalaev, but no, should not be anywhere near a minus 500 on that. Next, in the flyweight division, Alejandro Pantoja is fighting Alex Perez. I just don't think Perez is going to have enough to get this one done. I think the opposite of Ankalaev here. I'm a little unsure of why Pantoja is only entering this as like a minus 150 or 160 favorite. Perez hasn't fought in a year and a half, closing in on 2 years here, with a ton of canceled fights. I just think Pantoja is the better striker, and Perez is going to try and get him. I think Pantoja is the better striker, and I think he's going to be able to use that to his advantage and keep this fight wherever he wants it to be, and probably just dominate Perez all the way to a decision win. Now, another close fight here. This one very not confident on. Derrick Lewis takes on Sergey Pavlovich in the heavyweight division. Someone's going out. I mean, we know that. I think this is one any fight fan should be excited to watch, because we don't know how many finishes we're going to get on this card, but I give you a pretty good shot that this one's going to be a finish. And I'm going to go with Derrick Lewis, one of the hardest, if not the hardest hitter in the UFC. I'm going to go with him because what I've seen, if you look at Derrick Lewis's last 5 fights, he's beaten good guys. He's beaten Chris Daukaus. And his 2 losses have been to guys that are probably going to end up fighting for a fight against Francis, or who are fighting for either a fight against Francis Ngannou or an interim title fight in Cyril Gane and Tai Tuivasa. Those aren't bad losses. And I don't think Sergey Pavlovich is on that level. I think that Derrick Lewis is still there. I don't think he's this washed fighter. And I think that I think Pavlovich might get a little too trigger happy. And Lewis, I think, is going to, in very typical Derrick Lewis style, come out, land that big shot, and end this fight in either the first or second round by knockout. And in the flyweight division, we've got the interim flyweight championship between the Mexican-born Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara-France. This one is tough. I think Kara-France really has looked sharp in his last few, but I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno, and I think the deciding factor in this is going to be Moreno's championship experience. Moreno has fought 3 fights against Deiveson Figueiredo, and he's taken it to 5 rounds. And I don't think France's gas tank is going to last that long. So, and I don't think France is going to knock out Moreno. Moreno's taken big hits from Figueiredo and has not gone out. So I don't think France is going to do that to him. And I think as this fight moves into the later rounds, we see Moreno get more comfortable in there and land more shots and outscore him for a decision victory. I actually wouldn't be surprised, though, if in the championship rounds we see Moreno get him to the ground, put in that choke, and as we saw, France is susceptible to that after losing to Brandon Royval. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that from Brandon Moreno. And in the main event, we have a rematch of Julianna Pena versus Amanda the Goat Nunes. I'm going to go with Amanda Nunes. I'm going to go with Amanda Nunes because I think she's probably coming into this fight in a much better mindset than she was against Pena the first time. When she came into the fight against Pena the first time, I didn't like that she used the excuse of she wasn't on good terms with her training camp, but that could be a real setback for her. If she doesn't feel comfortable where she's at training, then she probably wasn't prepared as she should be coming into against Pena. And I think if she's more comfortable and she's actually putting in the work, then I think, and I still believe that Nunes is more skilled than Pena. And so I'm going to bet that Nunes comes into this fight with a better game plan, more focused, and is going to finish this fight. I'm going to go with second or third round TKO victory over Julianna Pena, and we see the return of the double champion. So that will be it for my UFC 277 predictions. If you like them, make sure to lock them in on whatever bets you're placing, and see you next time.